Hello everyone. Welcome to our course Introduction to Web3. I am Anjali and I'll be your guide for this course. In today's lesson, we are going to discuss about the basics of cryptography which are used in the blockchain technology. First of all, let's see what exactly is cryptography. So in very simple terms, we can say that cryptography is a method or a process to prevent any third party or any unauthorized person from accessing the private messages which are being exchanged in a communication. So now, as we have discussed in our previous lessons also, that blockchain technology is basically uses a peer-to-peer network or a decentralized network, and each network or each node has its own blockchain stored on it, and the state of the blockchain is same for all the nodes. Now, to maintain that same blockchain on all the nodes, you need to have very effective communication between each other. So that's why cryptography comes into picture. There is two ways by which cryptography helps in the case of blockchain technology. One is it's used to encrypt the messages. So as we've discussed, it's a P2P network, peer-to-peer network. A lot of messages keep being exchanged regarding the state of the blockchain. And now that data which is sent through this communication has to be encrypted, and so that it's not read by any unauthorized person. So that is one utility of the cryptography. Second is hashing. Hashing we've already discussed in our first lesson. So we know that in blockchains, we basically store the hash value of a block in the next block, so that a link is maintained between all the blocks. And also in case if data is tampered in any particular block, that hash value of that block would change, and it automatically an alert would be raised that since the hash value has changed, so the new block has nowhere to point to, or the block it was pointing to is missing. So now we understand that the data has been tampered, and we can take the data from any other node so the maximum nodes, which the data which is contained in maximum nodes is again replicated back to these nodes, assuming that these nodes have been tempered. So that is one very effective way of by which we use cryptography in the case of blockchain technology. So both for encrypting the messages in the network and also for hashing we use cryptography. Now let's look at some of the important terminologies in the cryptography. One is encryption. As the name suggests, encryption means encrypting the message, basically converting a plain human readable text into a random text, a random sequence of bits which do not make sense directly to the human mind. Second, key. Now, key means a small amount of information which is used to generate the output of a cryptographic algorithm. To put it simply, key would be a mechanism for you that if you have that information, that key, then you can convert a cipher text into a human readable text again. To do that, or to convert a plain text into a cipher text, you need to have something called as a key. Decryption, as the name suggests, is exactly opposite to encryption. Here we basically convert a cipher text into a normal plain text. Cipher, it's nothing but it's the mathematical function or the cryptographic algorithm which we are talking. So this algorithm is used, the logic is used to convert any plain text into a random text. So that function which is used is known as cipher, and that's used to convert a message using encryption techniques. And finally, a key is used to decrypt that messages. So these are the important terms. Now let's have a look at the different types of cryptography available to us. One is symmetric key cryptography. So here we may only make use of single key for both the encryption and decryption of the data. So anyone who possesses this key can encrypt the data and also decrypt the data. This is known as secret key cryptography. It's a simple form of cryptography method. The second method is the asymmetric key cryptography. This is a more popular method and more secure than the previous one. Here we use a pair of keys, basically public key for encryption and a private key which is used for decryption. So anybody who has that public key can encrypt the data, but that data will only be decrypted by someone who has the private key, which is calculated using the same algorithm which was used for creating the public key. So the public and the private key are generated together using a cryptographic function. Okay, but private key is kept as a secret and not shared with anybody, and public key can be shared with all. So public key is used for encryption, and that private key, which is kept a secret, is only given to the authorized users so that they can decrypt the information. So this method is known as public key cryptography. Third is a hash function. Hashing, as we've already discussed, this function does not make use of any keys. It simply makes use of a cryptographic function which is known as a cipher, and this function is used to create a hash value, which is a fixed length value from a huge plain text. So any normal text, human readable text, is converted to a fixed length hash value, and it cannot be converted back to plain text easily. So that hash value, that this form of encryption or this form of cryptography is known as hashing. So these are the three different cryptography techniques which are used to encrypt and decrypt the data. That's it for cryptography. See you in the next lesson.